So what if I told you that the number of candles on your birthday cake is telling you the wrong story about your health? In this explainer, we're going to dig into the science of your true age and, more importantly, how you can actually influence the clock.
Think about it. When someone asks how old you are, you just give them a number. It's based on the calendar, simple as that. But what if there's another age, a true age, that actually reveals so much more about your health, your risk of disease, and maybe even how long you'll live?
You know, the scientist Morgan Levine really hits the nail on the head here. She says we're all fixated on the wrong number. The real story isn't about how many years you've been on the planet, but about a totally different measure of age, one you can actually do something about. So to really understand how all this works, we first have to break down the two main ways we can think about age. It seems like a simple distinction, but honestly, it changes everything. Okay, here's an easy way to think about it. Your chronological age is kind of like a train on a fixed track. It just keeps moving forward 1 year at a time for everybody. But your biological age, that's more like a car that you're driving. You can speed up, you can slow down, you can even take a better route. It's the real story of your health, and guess what? You're in the driver's seat.
And you've seen this in real life, right? Maybe you go to a high school reunion. Everybody there is the exact same chronological age. But some people look like they haven't aged a day, while others, well, they look a lot older. This isn't just about appearances. It's a real measurable thing. It shows that while we all get older, we don't all age at the same speed.
Okay, so if biological age is the one that really matters, the big question is, how do we even measure it? How can you find out what your true age really is?
Well, one of the most successful ways is through something called phenotypic age. Now, it sounds super scientific, but the idea is pretty simple. It's an algorithm that looks at 9 common markers from a standard blood test, things you've probably been tested for before, like blood sugar or markers for inflammation. It takes all that data and crunches it into a single score for your biological age.
And what's really amazing is that you might be able to do this yourself. That blood test you got at your last checkup, you probably have the data you need right there in the lab report. You can actually find free calculators online, plug in your numbers, and get an estimate of your biological age. It's a really powerful snapshot of your health.
So when scientists look at a huge group of people, they find this classic bell curve. About half of us have a biological age that's pretty close to our actual age. But then you have the outliers. About a quarter of people are aging slower than their years would suggest, and another quarter are aging faster. The real question is, where do you fall on that spectrum?
For most of us, the difference is within a range of, say, plus or minus 5 years. But here's where it gets really wild. Some people are extreme outliers. Their biological age is 10, maybe even 20 years younger or older than what's on their driver's license. I mean, can you imagine being 50 but having the internal health of a 30-year-old? The real goal is figuring out how to be one of those slow agers.
To answer that question, we've got to go even deeper than a blood test. We need to zoom in, way in, to the molecular level of aging. We're talking about the actual programming of your cells.
This is so cool. Think of it like this. The cells in your brain and the cells on your skin have the exact same DNA, the same genetic blueprint. So why are they so different? That's epigenetics. It's like the software, the operating system, that runs on top of the DNA hardware. It tells each cell which genes to read and which ones to ignore, giving it a unique job to do.
But here's the problem. Over time, because of stress or our lifestyle or just random chance, that operating system starts to get buggy. It gets messy. It's kind of like a computer that's been running for years without a reboot. The instructions get a little corrupted, cells start to forget their jobs, and they don't function as well. This cellular chaos, scientists now believe, is a major driver of the aging we see and feel.
And this part is just incredible. Scientists can now measure this. They can look at tiny chemical tags on your DNA. It's a process called DNA methylation, but you can just think of them as little sticky notes that tell your genes to turn on or off. The pattern of these sticky notes changes so predictably as we age that it's been turned into a super accurate epigenetic clock.
So all of this science leads to the single most important question, right? If our biological age can speed up, can we also slow it down? Can we reverse it? Is any of this actually in our control? And the answer coming from the science is a huge resounding yes.
This is the really empowering part. Your genes are not your destiny. They play a role, sure, but the way you live your life, your daily habits, has a massive impact on how quickly or slowly you age. You have a ton of power to influence your own health.
And the best tools we have for slowing down that aging clock, they aren't some futuristic biohack or a magic pill. They are the fundamental habits we've known about for years. It all comes down to what you eat, how you move your body, how well you sleep, and how you manage your stress. These are the levers you can pull every single day to take control of your biological age.
And that brings us to the ultimate goal here. This science isn't just about adding more years to your life, that's lifespan. It's about adding more life to your years, and that's called healthspan. The number of years you live in good health, feeling vibrant and free from chronic disease. It's all about the quality of your years, not just the quantity.
At the end of the day, the science of aging isn't about trying to live forever. It's about figuring out how we can keep ourselves healthy and functional and engaged with life for as long as possible. The goal is to squeeze any illness into the shortest possible time at the very end. So the question isn't just how long you can live, but how well you can live. And what will you do with that time?